Alrighty, there we go.
We are live.
We can just
Welcome in.
screw around.
Hey, let's just start with, did you guys watch any of the Men's College World Series?
Nope.
Hell no.
Baseball is so boring.
But I saw the scores.
Yeah, I seen the
Dude.
scores.
Why would that game sounds like it would be awful to watch? Oh, the whole series. 2 games were decided by 1,000-0.
I know. I mean, that's what I was going to say. It kind of sucked because it was supposed to be a really good series, and then it was just lopsided in the last 2 games. I mean,
Baseball
did you do it?
Baseball needs to take a tip from softball. Softballs are way more fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, but did you see the Rocco's place up in Omaha, the Jello Shot Challenge? How many
Yeah,
Jello
and
Shots
LSU fans did a lot.
68,888 shots was the final tally. Last year, Ole Miss set the record,
Hell yeah, Keaton.
18,777.
Are you saying you're hitting the beers tonight, or are you saying you want hoes to drink beers tonight?
You know what? I'll go get a ranch water. I'll go back to my ranch water days. Give me one moment.
There you go, brother. I don't have any beers here.
Oh, he's hiding himself. Yes. But anyway, LSU was quite impressive. All right. So,
Yeah, they've had a pretty good run in recent years with sports. If you think about it, you know, they like the last 4 years have been a pretty good run for LSU.
yeah, I mean, they just won the women's college basketball,
Football
baseball.
like 3 years ago, baseball. Yeah, they've had a pretty good couple of years.
Not too bad. So, I mean, Oklahoma rolling with another commitment. Not a bad day, right? As you like to say, Bunnett.
Doesn't
It
suck.
not suck.
Hold on. Before we talk about that, and I know that's the most important thing to talk about, the LSU clip, and I think it was LSU that will live forever, is that pitcher that hit the bomb. I think it was a walk-off home run. And the interview post-game, and then the press conference when he told his coach he was actually lied and he never took an at-bat.
He said he was juiced up.
Just a lot of BP.
He didn't
Guess that's all
take
you
BP.
You didn't?
No, he said he didn't take BP.
That's why I knew baseball was easy. You don't even have to practice. Just go out there and hit a dinger.
All right,
Anyone could be in the
let's talk
majors.
football because Hose has stupid baseball takes.
All right, yep. Let's go to what's important for today, bro.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as Brandon likes to say, it does not suck. Oklahoma added, is it their 7th commit now, I think, in the 2024 class?
Ninth, dude.
9th. Golly. I am living under a rock. 9th commit in Xavier Robinson. Nearly 2,600 yards and 39 rushing touchdowns last year.
9.4 yards a carry,
Yeah,
185
so
yards a game. Stupid
So-
numbers.
stupid. I mean, as I'm sure some people that are watching this have watched our initial reaction video, and we talked a little bit more in depth on Xavier Robinson. But for anyone that's watching that hasn't watched that video, be sure to go check that out. But Brandon, sum it up. What do you think Oklahoma's getting in Robinson? And what are the outlooks in that running back room? I think we all think it's very bright in that running back room.
The running back room is very, very loaded. It's loaded with talent. It's one of the most talented rooms in the. I think it's one of the most talented rooms on the team now, going forward and right now especially. But like with Xavier Robinson, and we just mentioned his numbers. Anytime you have a dude that averages 185 yards a game, 9.5 yards a carry, 39 touchdowns, 2,600 rushing yards, that shit's crazy. His numbers are crazy, I think. But I mean, like we talked about in our initial video, he's joining a very, very loaded room. I'm excited to see how the Sooners use him. We talked about with that size years ago, talking about adding 20 pounds and playing both sides. Yeah, I think he's a guy who has a good chance to be a short distance running back, almost right away, just with the size he has. And I'm excited to see how OU utilizes him.
I agree. This is one where fans can clearly see that the rating isn't appropriate to how he played in high school last season, how he could play next season when he's got a very talented quarterback in Kevin Sperry there alongside him in the backfield. I mean, Brandon, you mentioned it. It could be that his stats go down maybe a little bit because they might become a more pass-heavy offense with Kevin Sperry. But even if that happens, maybe he gets to show off his pass-catching ability, and that just helps even more because he showed that he can run the ball. But if he can add that catching game to his arsenal, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I think he'll have like 9 or 10 balls caught out of the backfield last year, but again, that could just be the system that he was in. We'll definitely find out more this year because I think I know I will, and I think a lot of Sooner fans that at least live in the state will be attending some Carl Albert games the next couple seasons because it's just going to be a lot of fun watching those two guys play.
It will be a lot of fun. Sorry, I was just tweeting out the link for everyone that's on Twitter and things like that. It will be a lot of fun. I mean, I think adding Kevin Sperry, obviously that shows how committed he is to playing at Oklahoma, the fact that they're moving up to Carl Albert. And, talking about Robinson, I would agree with you, Brandon. He brings a different skill set that there isn't a ton of on this current roster. I mean, when you think of a little bit of the bigger running backs, initially I think of like Tolly Walker's a little bit more of probably that style. But Gavin Sawchuk, Javonte Barnes, there's a lot of speed, a lot of finesse. Robinson is just a little bit different. The 6'2", 220-pound running backs don't just come out of the woodwork. He's
probably going to get bigger too before he gets to campus.
He probably will, but the question will be, does he grow another inch? Is he 6'3", 230? I mean, he probably doesn't want to get too much heavier, but I mean, Derrick Henry, what is he running at now? I mean, I guess when he was at Alabama, I mean, he was 230, 240, I'm guessing.
I think he's a little lighter than that now, but yeah, he probably runs right now about what Robinson's listed at as far as height and weight goes. But I think this Ramondre Stevenson comparison is pretty interesting, and I can see it by the time he gets to campus. I think he'll be around that size. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I'm excited. It doesn't suck.
It definitely doesn't.
And Jacob mentioned this. You'd rather have a Derrick Henry than a Darren Sproles. There's a chance you kind of get both in this class. Caden Durham got another crystal ball this weekend after the LSU unofficial visit that went down. I feel like that still bodes well for Oklahoma. You still have the expected commitment of Taylor Tatum after getting crystal balled by every insider in the world, even those who had no affiliation with this recruitment have put in their crystal balls and future casts or predictions for Taylor. So you're going to get a Derrick Henry, a Darren Sproles, and a guy that's a mix of both potentially in this class.
Can I just take it back just a second, though? What do you guys think the commitment of Xavier Robinson means for guys like David Stone and Michael Patterson, guys like that? I think, the Oklahoma group of guys that we're targeting. I think it only helps, right? I think he's going to help bring all those boys in with him.
Okay. So I looked up Derrick Henry because I was curious before we dive into that. He's 6'3", 247 right now.
Jesus, Murphy.
Yeah. So could you imagine
that's a fucking refrigerator.
Yeah.
That's a big boy.
Now, as far as what his commitment means for those guys like Caden Durham and David Stone, it obviously doesn't hurt. Do I think it's the ultimate deciding factor? Probably not. But I think it would be more of a concern or a bigger factor if he didn't commit to Oklahoma, if that makes any sense. I almost feel like the negative would be larger than what the positive is right now. I mean, obviously, it's always good to have him. And you saw Caden Durham, he's following our Twitter and Caden Durham's Twitter. He quote tweeted Hayes Fawcett and said 405 and what was the dollar sign or something. So, I mean, they're all friends, and they all obviously, it seems like they want to play together. So this was the first domino to kind of make that possible. But I think the negative would be more felt than the commitment, because the commitment's was almost expected at this point.
Yeah. Well, the point that you brought up with Xavier being I guess, to me, and I said it in the video that we released earlier about his commitment, this is the pivotal domino in getting that group of friends in Caden Durham and David Stone and Michael Patterson McDonald. I think if it would, like Rum said, it would be a bigger story if he would have picked Iowa State, and it didn't seem like that was likely. especially after the Champion Barbecue weekend. Now it's just who's going to be next. I think Patterson McDonald said, or like announced his commitment's going to be at the end of July. So I don't know, maybe him and Stone commit around the same time. That one, the fact that it's so far away seems a little weird, and maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it's the end of June, but I'm pretty sure it's the end of July. I mean, we'll see, but now you just got to wait and figure out how are you going to get those guys to commit sooner, because I feel like the longer this goes, it might not be great for Oklahoma, but it's hard to tell because those guys have been a little weird, all three of them, with their recruitment.
When you're talking about all three, you're talking about Stone, Durham, and
Patterson McDonald.
Patterson McDonald, yeah.
Yeah. It is a little weird. I mean, part of me just thinks that it's just like David Stone is going to be a Sooner, and that's what I'm telling myself at this, keep telling myself. I just feel like he's around the campus too much. It just makes too much sense for him to be a Sooner. That's one of the five-star defensive linemen that I just don't think we're ever going to find, or it's like once every 10 years where it just almost kind of falls into our lap. Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy was that to some degree, and obviously had some unfortunate things happen, and really, if a few things didn't happen, he would be a Sooner right now. But I just feel like David Stone, he's going to be a part of this class. I think out of the three, I think Caden Durham is the most likely one to not be in this class. I don't think Durham's in this class.
You said he's going to be in this class 100 times, and now you're taking it back.
I just think the longer this goes on, I do agree with Jose. The longer this goes on, I just feel like LSU is going to be hard for him to say no to with their track and field. And hopefully I'm wrong.
We'll see.
If you get Taylor Tatum and you have Xavier Robinson, you already have what you have in the running back room. It's a little hard to sell Caden Durham the idea of, come play at Oklahoma, be the third running back in this class potentially.
Just saying, this is the first time this is the first time on record on this program that you've said he's not coming to Oklahoma. So it's something that has changed for you.
It's just a gut feeling. I just feel like the longer, and he went to LSU this past weekend unofficially.
But did he get a future cast or crystal ball or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Oklahoma on Sunday after the unofficial happened.
I understand. I think Durham is supposed to go back to LSU unofficially sometime next month as well. So I just.
Well, it would have to happen at the end of July. It's a dead period up until last week.
Yeah, I think it's like the last weekend of July or something. Or I think he's going back, or there's thoughts of him going back. I don't know. I just think it's just a lot of talent to recruit to one position. But Texas A&M does it with defensive linemen, so I'm not saying that it can't. But I just don't know. And at the end of the day, if Oklahoma gets Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum, I'd be happy. Obviously, we'd love Durham, but that's still a great running back room. And I think Robinson will be a higher rated running back in 6 months than where he's at right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to go down.
Yep. Well, do you guys have any more that you want to talk about Robinson, or should we take a couple of these comments/questions?
Yeah, let's just take some questions.
All right, so I'm going to start at the top. Lloyd asking who commits next. I think knowingly, Justin Denson would be the most likely guy. He commits on the 1st.
Yeah, he's on the
Saturday. What do you think?
Denson's definitely a fair pick. If we're going, it is Tuesday. So and Friday's the 1st, right? Yeah, so it's Friday.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah,
Friday's the 30th.
Yeah, sorry. Gosh, days are just blending together. It could be Denson. I mean, if there's a surprise one, I think it could be Wyatt Gilmore. But Denson makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's publicly announcing it's a set date. I think Oklahoma's in a pretty darn good spot for him. Brandon, what do you think?
I think I'd rather it be Wyatt Gilmore, but yeah, I think Justin Denson makes the most sense too, just because there's a date set. We know when it's happening. With Gilmore, I haven't seen anything where he has an official date and time set yet. Have you guys? I don't think that exists.
No, it would have to come just out of nowhere between now and Saturday, which is
that's
possible.
A lot. It's possible, but it's also a lot to expect. I mean, because things get moved all the time, and I guess at the end of the day, what difference does it make if he commits tomorrow or next week or on the 4th of July?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be curious to see if anyone commits on the 4th of July. That's a cool time to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fireworks in your graphic and all sorts of cool shit.
Exactly. Here's another one. Do we think Williams-Nwaneri will go to OU after his Georgia visit? So I guess he did end up going to Georgia this weekend. I know it was rumored that he was going for like a family member's birthday or something, and that it was possible he goes to an unofficial like for a day. I mean, Oklahoma's been the leader for this for a long time. You survived the Tennessee wave. Georgia's going to be a little bit harder to survive. Sure, they have the back-to-back championships to recruit on. Their defense has been amazing over the last 2 seasons, and it doesn't really seem like they're going to slow down anytime soon on that front. So,
offensively, they will.
Yeah, we'll talk about that some other day. But
offensively, they're going to slow down a lot.
With it's hard to think that Georgia's just going to overtake them because of one unofficial visit when he's been to Oklahoma like 6 times. He's got like Oklahoma around him everywhere. Ex-teammate is at Oklahoma. Coach was a Sooner. He's got a guy, Isaiah Mosey, who Oklahoma's also favorited to land from the high school low. So, I mean, is it possible Georgia ends up taking him? Sure, but it just seems hard to believe, especially with no predictions for him to be a dog after this unofficial visit. I think people are just taking this one visit and expecting it to be the time Georgia closes because Oklahoma's gone so slow in actually getting commitments.
I will say I've said multiple times that I felt like if Oklahoma's going to lose someone, and I thought it was going to be Williams-Nwaneri. So I'm not going to act like I've been saying he's going to be a Sooner this entire time, because I haven't. But the fact that he went on that Tennessee official, because that was the school I was most concerned about, and then the crystal balls didn't come in, flying in for him. And it seemed like for the longest time that Tennessee was Oklahoma's biggest competition. And obviously Missouri's looming there, but they're just they're the hometown team. I don't actually buy the hype around them. I do agree, Jose. I have a hard time believing that just an unofficial kind of coming out of the blue would really sway his decision enough to just, bypass Oklahoma, like you said. I mean, there's Oklahoma all over and around him, coaching, teammates, friends. There's so many connections to Oklahoma. It just makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't discount Georgia just because of their recent success. I could see, I think there's a legitimate shot that Nwaneri is going to end up in this class. I mean, obviously Stone and Nwaneri in this class is that's the best case scenario right there. But as we sit today, it seems like Oklahoma is doing everything right, and they're going to be a part of this class. I feel better today than I did a month ago, because I was nervous whenever he picked Tennessee to go on the 16th. Instead of Oklahoma on the 16th. And he kind of gave Oklahoma the 9th. I maybe read into that too much, but I feel better today than I did a month ago. Brandon, what do you think?
I agree with what you guys are saying. I think Oklahoma still is the favorite. I still think he ends up a Sooner, but I mean, like you guys said, it's impossible to count out Georgia. I mean, they can show him 2 back-to-back championship rings, trophies that no other school in the country can offer right now. They've got a great defense. I agree with Hose that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It's hard to compete with Georgia with that, but I still think Oklahoma leads. I think the connections he has there that you guys mentioned. I mean, I'm still rocking with Oklahoma, but you can't count out Georgia here. They're going to be tough to beat out.
Here's another one from Keaton. You get a choice: Nwaneri and Ajone, or McKinley and Smith. Which duo are you wanting?
I would like Nwaneri and Smith, but that's not the way the question is posed. So I guess I will go Nwaneri and Joseph Jonah Jone, just because I agree with Brum. I think Stone and Nwaneri would be the dream pairing. I'd like to get Williams Nwaneri, so I will take Williams Nwaneri and Ajone here.
It's a good combination. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't go wrong. I mean, if it was those two, either of these two plus a David Stone, it doesn't matter to me. But I tend to agree with you, Brandon. I mean, it seems Nwaneri and David Stone would be a dynamic duo, but also thinking about Stone and McKinley would be great as well. And Nigel Smith's extremely talented. I probably would say I'm going to take McKinley and Smith. I think Nigel Smith might have a slightly higher ceiling than Ajone. Maybe. I'm not saying Ajone isn't good. He's very talented. I just think Smith and McKinley have very high ceilings. I mean, obviously Nwaneri. I mean, they all do, but I would take McKinley and Smith.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brum. And my reasoning is because Smith is a little bit more versatile. He's big enough and fast enough where you can kind of keep him at that weight and play him on the edge. But if you really needed to, or he ends up being a better interior defensive lineman, you put a little weight on him and make sure his speed and strength just gets better or stays the same. Or speed stays the same and gets stronger. And you would have a really good interior of the defensive line rotation there with Stone, McKinley, and Smith. But yeah, there's no wrong answer there. That's just a tough one. Let me see here. Soul mission being important to Nwaneri. I mean, I think at this point, like, if Oklahoma does lose out to Georgia, like it makes sense. Like the last 2 years losing to A&M has never made any sense because they haven't proven they're a good team. Their defensive room is just loaded. So to continue to get all those defensive linemen that they did over the last two classes, losing to them was frustrating because they suck. But if you lose to Georgia, like it makes sense. Like they've proven that they can be good and make their players the best, and especially on the defensive line, first-round draft picks.
Yeah, and I mean the sole mission at the end of the day, I think that is a difference. But Clemson does it as well, and Clemson recruits at a high level, and Oklahoma did last year. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think Oklahoma's going to do just fine. And I know that people are concerned, and it's a little concerning that we don't have a 5-star committed at this point. It's going to be okay. I mean, at the end of the day, every class is different.
We just don't have a 5-star committed publicly at this point. There's a chance that there's some 5-stars out there who have committed and just haven't made it public yet, because there are more than 2 people who are committed from ChampU. I truly believe that, and there's just 2 that have decided to make it official.
Hey, I mean, that's very possible. I think, who was it? It was James Nesta, who, and did we ever actually talk about him? I was off. Okay, you guys took care of that. But James Nesta, I think, did an interview with, was it Hayes Fawcett or someone?
Yeah, I think it was Rivals I saw it too. But yeah, he mentioned that there were some dudes out there committed that just haven't come out yet, which is frustrating, kids. If you're committed, can you just say it so we can stop freaking out over here on these shows and looking like idiots on the TV?
But they're doing exactly what they want us to do, right? We're talking about it. I mean, obviously the fruits of the ChampU barbecue, we're just starting to see it at this point. I mean, with Xavier Robinson, James Nesta, and Dozie, the wide receiver.
Yeah. Zakuma.
Yeah. Those are 3 commits. And I think, we talked a little earlier in the show, if people are just joining. I mean, the next commit, Justin Denson, at least publicly, is scheduled for the 1st of July. And then, could you have a Wyatt Gilmore sprinkle in there?
Justin Denson is another kid that I think is incredibly underrated. I think he's also a 3-star prospect. But I think he's a 3-star because doesn't he come out of Rhode Island? because we had that debate if any Sooners have ever come from Rhode Island, which I don't think we have, actually. I think if Justin Denson commits on Saturday, he will be the lone Sooner in Sooner football history to commit from the state of Rhode Island. And I could be wrong, but I couldn't find one when I looked it up. But if you look at that dude's top five, just with Bama, Florida, and Oklahoma alone, like those three schools don't typically offer if they think you're a 3-star player. I think he's another kid who's really, really underrated, just because if we land him, we're going to hear the 3-star U comments. So I just kind of want to get ahead of those.
Yeah.
And for him, it doesn't hurt that Stone was on that visit with him to Michigan State.
It doesn't suck.
Because Stone has been like you, I think it was Brandon, one of you guys just said it, Stone was on campus a ton leading up to that Michigan State visit. Mm-hmm. So essentially just continued to recruit potentially for Oklahoma.
And with Denson, it seems like Alabama, I think they've prioritized other prospects and aren't pressing him quite as hard. I think, and Florida has gotten red hot, and I think Florida's picked up a few commits. It seems like it's an OU Michigan State battle for Denson. He's the number 1 rated player in the state of Rhode Island, but yet he's still a 3-star. So we could say the best player in Rhode Island, even though the state's 25 square miles or something like that, but still the best player in the state of Rhode Island.
How many football players are there in the state of Rhode Island?
22.
22. Yeah,
just kidding. I'm sure there's 20.
But
107 probably.
It doesn't hurt that David Stone is with him, because I think we all agree that it doesn't seem like Stone, if he's going to go elsewhere from Oklahoma, I don't think it's going to be Michigan State. I think he obviously likes Michigan State, but at the end of the day, he might be doing some peer recruiting for Oklahoma, or maybe Denson's like, I want to go play with Stone, and they talked about it, and I feel pretty good about where Oklahoma's at. And with Denson, what is he? I think he's 6'3", I want to say 6'2".
Good size, yeah, for
6'2", $180. I mean, that's the size we need in the secondary, and I would be pretty excited to see him, jump on board.
Just be sure not to call him a safety.
Never call him a safety.
Never call him a safety.
He's a corner.
That is true.
So I was trying to decipher here for a second who they were talking about in the chat, because they just kept saying Jackson. But
Jaden Jackson?
Yeah, they were talking about Jaden Jackson. For some reason, my mind kept going to Jackson Arnold. But, they were talking about defensive line recruiting in the chat. Jaden Jackson is still a very viable option there. If you have a class of Jaden, I mean, like Topher here says, you have to get Stone before Jackson's even a real possibility. If you get David Stone, Jaden Jackson in the interior, sprinkle in the Nigel Smith that can be more versatile and kind of play him where you need him to be. And, I mean, Nwaneri, again, the dream scenario, and Wyatt Gilmore, you don't... Anything on top of that,
and
like that,
Okoye. We need him too. I'm a big Okoye guy. I'm a huge fan.
Let's just say like those are the 5 guys though, other than Okoye, that before the start of the football season. If you can get those guys to commit pre-football season, like a potential landing of Okoye later on, or if Jayshon Ross somehow comes back into the picture. Like, you've got an opportunity to have an amazing defensive line group.
I mean, think about how many top 4 and 5-star players we are talking about in this defensive line for Oklahoma in this 24 class. I mean, there are so many players it seems like Oklahoma's in the running for or leading for. It almost seems like, and I'm going to knock on wood, but it almost seems like Oklahoma's bound to end with 1 or 2 5-stars and 2 or 3 4-stars. I mean, it really seems like they're going to land 5, 6 guys that are 4 and 5 stars. I mean, it's kind of hard to even wrap your mind around. I mean, this is where all the groundwork's laid out for them. I mean, I just almost think it's a guarantee. Now, the names are going to be interchangeable.
Guarantee.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to be like Charles Barkley, guarantee. It almost seems unthinkable that Oklahoma wouldn't have one of the best defensive line classes in the country.
I just like Ray Zielinski's comments. He sells car parts for the American man, and he thinks Jose is Antonio Banderas.
I've been getting a lot of compliments on this stream the last couple of weeks.
I forget about football when the comments are popping off because I don't care about football as much as this.
So the 5 stars, I think this year, unless something happens with Terry Bussey, however his last name is pronounced, any 5 stars in this class are going to be defensive. And it's probably defensive linemen. Like, it's not going to be, which is cool, but also very different for Oklahoma.
So are you ruling out Kobe Black entirely?
Probably. I mean, it seems like it's Texas for him.
It does look that way.
It doesn't really seem like maybe Oklahoma's got a very small chance, but there's Texas is gonna have to fuck up royally to not.
They've been known to do that a couple times.
Yeah, 1 or 2 or 3 times for sure. But let me find. Oh, Sooner Cowboys O-line recruiting. Just to pivot here real quick. That kind of is not doing so hot so far. The lone offensive lineman committed is Isaiah Autry. For a minute, we were in the lead for Bennett Warren. For a little bit, we were in the lead for Casey Capeau, who is now being crystal balled to Alabama as of today. For a little bit, you were in the lead for Eddie Pierre-Louis, who I guess you could still get. That's not final by any means, nor do I think there's predictions in for him quite yet. But offensive line recruiting is pretty slow right now.
It is disappointing, especially for as much as we talk up Bill Bedenbaugh. Me specifically, I'm a huge Bill Bedenbaugh advocate. But yeah, I mean the recruiting cycle is by no means over yet. We'll see how it plays out. I still think at the end of it, Coach Bill B will get the guys he wants, or some of the guys he wants, not all of them. But the O-line class will not be awful.
It is. I will agree. It is. It has been disappointing. It seems like Oklahoma's faded in a few. It seems like Oklahoma's in a pretty good spot with Eddie Pierre-Louis. I think Oklahoma ultimately probably wins that recruitment. I think if I remember right, when we talked about him like a year plus whenever he got his offer, and he called Oklahoma his dream offer. And I know it was just one visit to Oklahoma, or his first visit was his official a couple of weeks ago. But it kind of reminds you of the safety that came out of the state of Florida in the 23 class. I can't remember. I am blanking right now. Yeah, Makari Vickers, who just kind of came to Oklahoma. Our expectations seemed to be a little low, and then he just fell in love with Oklahoma, and then obviously committed and signed with Oklahoma. Yeah, and we hit over 100, so I got to take a minute. Be sure to like and subscribe and turn the notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify. Everything's linked in the description below. So we're over 100. Let's go to 200. But I will say the offensive line has been disappointing, but I don't think all is lost. I think Oklahoma will put together a solid class.
Also, quick backtrack back to the 5-star thing that we talked about, because Jose said that we're only going to get defensive 5 stars, and I think some people in the chat called it out, and I think they're right. And I didn't think of it either, but Taylor Tatum will likely be a 5-star by the time he gets to campus, and I think he will end up being a Sooner. So we probably will have one 5-star on the offensive side,
assuming he commits.
Which I think we assume that.
And
like
Kenny Hall just commented, but talking about, I think he was talking about Umazulu, Zena Umazulu, another defensive lineman. He seems like Oklahoma has at least got some sort of play. They're in play for him to some degree.
Devon Mitchell reclasses. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's just crazy the amount of talent that Oklahoma has interested in them along the defensive line.
Yeah, but we got to start closing. It's the whole interested thing is. It's nice
July,
and fine and dandy. I agree.
Is the month.
And I also, I agree.
Here's a question, because I think for the most part we're pretty chill when it comes to, or I guess level-headed when it comes to recruitment. We definitely have our moments where we get a little too emotional. But at the end of July, what's the number of recruits Oklahoma would be at where you're thinking, all right, this could be going south real quick? Like 12? 10?
Shit, if we have
it's
10, that's bad.
that
I think.
number would be definitely a little concerning, but it would also be more concerning about who it is. Like if it's only 3 more commits and it's David Stone and Wyatt Gilmore and maybe Zion Raggins. If those are the next 3, I'd be like, oh, okay. I mean, you got David Stone. We're bound to do well, but I think if they have anything less than 14 by the end of July, that's when it might be like, okay, something's not right. And I think Williams Nwaneri is not far from a decision. I think he's on the July timeline as well. So if he chooses somewhere else, and David Stone's uncommitted, and Oklahoma hasn't landed a few other defensive linemen or something, I mean that would cause that would raise some concern to me.
Yeah, if OU escapes to somewhere with 0 defensive linemen, that's definitely a problem. You've had a year plus to recruit these defensive linemen. If you can't close them now, you better hope you have the best season of your life, because you're not going to close them if you're average again to below average.
Yeah. That's the process.
Yeah,
pretty sure it's this Devon Mitchell saying Miami's his number 1 now. I haven't seen that, but I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
I think I did see that. But
that's annoying.
But I just don't buy that though.
Me neither. Especially because the main reason Oklahoma's in the race here is because of Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
And Hawkins is still in the class.
Yeah. Part of me thinks, some players like to throw the media and throw people off their trail a little bit about.
God, who was that one kid from Texas last recruiting cycle? Or not? The kid in the committee of Texas, yes, that thought he was
Aiden
slick.
Kirkland.
Yes, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Devon Mitchell says that Miami's his number 1. And maybe right now, maybe that's true. But he's committing on July 8th. Oklahoma still has time, and it could be one of those post-visit highs. I mean, we talk about, Gentry Williams last year, talking going out to USC. It seemed like a post-visit high and ultimately chose Oklahoma. Hopefully that's the case here. And Oklahoma can, over the next week or so can win out.
Sounds like Mike Hawkins got to get on the phone.
Devon Mitchell's not shy and reminding everyone of this. Miami wasn't nowhere in this conversation up until about maybe a month ago. And he took a visit at some point. They got in, I guess, final 3. Really seems like it's between Oklahoma, Alabama, and them. And, I mean, this weekend went well. Clearly, he's very excited about possibly going there, but you didn't give it a couple days, and then you have Mike Hawkins Jr. in his ear, Mike Hawkins Sr., his dad, probably the entire Hawkins family, Lebby, Finley, the entire Oklahoma staff. Like they're not going to give up.
I think he'll just realize at some point, like, they don't have a stadium, they don't have anything. You have to drive 45 minutes to get to their own thing. It's a vacation destination, not a football destination.
I'm assuming they sold him on the history of tight ends there. Not that Oklahoma doesn't have a good history, but Miami in the early 2000s.
Jeremy Shockey?
Who else went there? Someone else went there.
Greg Olson, yeah. We can easily match that shit.
I think they're selling on that.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean,
their history of tight ends. They suck. They were great in 2000.
Great NFL
2000.
tight ends.
Yeah, Jermaine Gresham.
I don't think
Mark Andrews, probably one of the best tight ends in the league.
Mark Andrews, definitely. I think Mark Andrews can get there. Mark Andrews, I think you can make that argument, but I mean,
Mark Andrews is already better than Greg Olson was. I genuinely think so. He's and Jeremy Shockey had a couple of good years with the Giants. I don't know about the history of the tight end thing. I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you there. I think that was a dog shit take.
I don't. I think that Miami's had good tight ends over their history. Wasn't Kellen Winslow there?
The most recent tight end they produced is David Njoku. So
that guy wasn't very good.
But I think really why Miami's in it is because of NIL. I just think that's being honest, but
And palm trees and beaches. I mean, that's a lot of fun.
That's a good selling point. I mean,
Girls.
we love
that comes with the palm trees and the
Oklahoma.
beaches. Yeah,
we love Oklahoma, but we can't say Norman quite has the same beaches at Lake Thunderbird as Miami Beach or something like that.
See, if only friggin' good old Sugars didn't shut down, we'd be right in the mix with any girls in the country.
Nope. Definitely not.
Definitely. Then you haven't been to Sugars, buddy.
That place was disgusting.
Sugars was a blast, bud. You're a liar.
Maybe because it had like $2 beer, but that's about it.
The beer was great.
That's
the
it.
talent was great.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
The prices were good. It was only like a $5 cover. Give me another gentleman's club with a $5 cover for elite talent like that.
Okay.
The urinals were
For that
else.
kind of talent, you could probably get in for free somewhere else.
Oh man,
It was a Norman staple though, and it was sad to see it go. I think everybody was sad to see it go.
It was a Norman staple.
It was a staple.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm going with that one.
Be always where we end up after a night out on Campus Corner. About 1:15 in the morning, boys. It's time to go to Sugars. Just finish the night there.
Nope.
Yes, you've been there whipping darts.
All right, so let's get back to football, right?
Sometimes shit is just more important than football, and that for a second was. That was a good segue. But now, yeah, we can talk about football again, I guess.
Let's check up on some
All right.
comments.
Let me go through these comments here. Someone only took two official visits. Not sure who that is.
Oh, I think you were talking about Mitchell.
He didn't take any official visits
I don't
because
know
he hasn't been classified.
Yeah.
So Kenny Hall was talking about David Stone calling Eddie Pierre-Louis Zoo. I guess that's his nickname.
Oh, okay.
Who knows? Let's see here.
That's fair, but still, Yuma Zulu was on campus, so he's pretty good too.
Yeah, that's one where Oklahoma, when we had Thune on a long time ago, he mentioned Oklahoma was going to be pushing hard for him. Then he kind of disappeared. Now he's back. I mean, Texas still seems to be the leader there for that one, but it's good that Oklahoma's in it, but I don't know how long they'll be in it. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, because his brother, what is it, Neto? I think his name is Neto, plays at Texas, the offensive lineman at Texas. But Zena apparently doesn't really playing with his brother isn't exactly the deciding factor.
He hates his brother. It'd be way more fun to beat his brother for a sack than it would be to play with him.
I mean, I wouldn't complain if he chose us. But it just seems like, talking about the defensive line, and we're talking a lot of it, but Jay Sean Ross, we all felt like he was really going to be a part of this class. And the big decision or big change coming out of Champy Barbecue, it seems like Jay Sean Ross has since not going to be a part of this class now.
It's disappointing because he's a guy that we messaged was going to come on the program in a couple weeks. That's when things seem good, but college football recruiting, man. It's probably because Sugars got taken down.
It's probably the deciding factor, if I were to guess.
I mean, if he's gone, that means you'd have to feel really good about Nwaneri, going back to him. Wyatt Gilmore, probably going to be in this class. And Zoo, I mean, that dude, just as good. Just where does... You just have to land them now. If you turned a guy like Jay Sean Ross away, can you actually land these guys?
1,050% me. And I really don't think it's close. These guys are not very good at playing football video games, especially Brum. He's been out of the game for a minute playing Xbox. Hose has just never been very good. We used to play all the time in college.
And I beat you regularly.
The Hose school of clock management.
Yeah. Jose doesn't even understand how the clock works playing video games. He lets the time just run out. It goes to halftime when he's at the 10-yard line.
All you got to do is make sure that you're winning when the clock hits 0.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely. We should find a way to I don't know. It could be fun to have like a little somehow stream us playing it and drop cut up some highlights of it of some unrelated content of me roasting you guys on video games.
Okay.
The thing with NCAA is what teams would we play with, because we all like OU and none of us can be the Sooners.
Yeah, we can't do that.
We just have to do 3 randoms.
Here's a question that I think is interesting. Soul Mission, definitely something that is highlighted in every recruitment. Does any other schools have something like that? Pretty sure that was a thing that Venables brought from Clemson. Mm-hmm. At least they have something like it.
Yeah, it might just be Oklahoma and Clemson, though.
I bet a place like Notre Dame has that.
Notre Dame sucks.
Just because they suck doesn't mean they don't have it.
I think it would just be Clemson, and maybe a few other schools have a small program, but I think Oklahoma is basically just like Clemson in that aspect.
This is fantastic.
Service schools.
It's still me.
No, I'm picking the Army, and I'm gonna just run wild on you guys.
Where does this class finish?
I still think it's top 10, 8 to 10. With the positive outlook of I think best case top 5, number 5 or 6.
We can do the recruitment calculator right now.
I mean,
and just compare it to last year.
Yeah, just thinking about it, and obviously, it's got to be best case scenario. But if you land both Stone, Nwaneri, Taylor Tatum elevates to a 5-star. That's 3 5-stars. You're going to be a top 5 class.
I wonder if I can share my screen. Nah, that's
Eric's coming through.
Eric, we appreciate you.
What are the chances we get David Hicks in the transfer portal?
I think if he transfers, did he transfer already? Am I missing that? I haven't seen that he transferred, but I think if he does transfer, you got to think Oklahoma's at the top of the list. And I don't think that's us being crazy. I think there's a couple of guys that if they transfer out of A&M eventually, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, David Hicks, just those two specifically. I think if they end up transferring one of them, I think Oklahoma's at the very top of their list. Yes, Overton. Yeah, I think if any of those guys transfer, OU's at the top of the list.
Here's a question to think about, though. Say Oklahoma lands Stone and Nwaneri, and then even the 25 class, assuming Hicks is at A&M for a couple of years, and then they land another 5-star or 2 next year in the 25 class. And the way kind of Hicks handled that, does Oklahoma take Hicks?
Probably not, no. Because then you're set.
Yeah, I don't.
His reason for leaving A&M would have to be because they didn't fork up the cash. But he put really good tape out, and he played well on the field. But if he transferred because he didn't get any playing time, I doubt Oklahoma gets in that race.
Yeah. But if he entered the transfer portal after this year, probably would be in the running for him, I would think. But again, Eric, we really appreciate that.
All right, boys, let's go back to this recruiting class.
Now we can feed ourselves for the week.
I'm going through the calculator here. So we think we'll get David Stone, right? Potentially yes. Williams Nwaneri. Do we think we get Nigel Smith?
No.
No Nigel Smith?
I don't know why, but I'm just saying no. It doesn't, I don't know.
Bro,
what do you guys?
I think we do, personally.
I think we do too.
All right, fine, put him in. I like it.
Tiebreaker, bro. Who else? Do we think we get Dominic McKinley?
No.
Oh, fuck. I was going to say yes. All right, no Dom. Who else? Oh, Michael Patterson McDonald. I'm not looking at the chat, so if you...
you still think we get Caden Durham, right? So that's 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I still think we get Caden Durham. I also...
I'm just switched up today after weeks of riding with Durham.
Xavier Robinson is on this list quite yet, so Xavier Robinson's on this class already.
Justin Denson.
So Justin Denson. We can't add Devon Mitchell, so that's the one we won't be able to include. Do we think we get Marquise Easley, who's also committing the same day as Devon Mitchell?
I don't. Part of me says no.
Yeah,
I
don't
just,
include him.
No Marquise. Eddie Pierre.
I think we do.
Throw him in there.
Eddie Pierre Louis. All right, just on that alone, we're at 260. That, at this moment in time, recruiting classes would put Oklahoma at the number 5 spot.
Yeah.
So
Those
Oklahoma
guys are feeling pretty confident about.
I think Oklahoma definitely still has a chance of being top 5 in this cycle.
I mean, and that's not even including like Michael Borgonowski,
Gazowski.
Gilmore is there as well.
Wyatt Gilmore.
Zion Raggins is another receiver.
Raggins.
And that's no one along the offense. I mean, again, never mind. Eddie Pierre is on the offensive line, but you know, Oklahoma's bound to get another couple offensive. I mean, they've got Isaiah Autry there, and you've got Eddie Pierre Louis. They're bound to land some more.
Let's look. Braden Platt.
Yeah, maybe.
Still possible, right? So that would put Oklahoma at 20 commits, 273 overall score, which would, at this moment, put us at number 2.
Yeah. And
probably somewhere still in the top 5 with that score.
And the thing is, last year, Oklahoma had a total score for the number 6 class was 295 with, what was it, 20-something commits. So, I mean, it's really like 28 commits, 29 commits. I mean, it's really not unreasonable to assume. And guys might, get higher ratings as well as the season goes, so their score goes up as well. So I think 5 is very reasonable. I don't think they'll be the number 1 class. You typically need a 5-star quarterback to kind of really get you there as far as the ratings go. But there's a chance that Oklahoma has 3 5-stars in this class. And you added Devon Mitchell. You didn't even add him. I mean, because you
can't.
So, I mean, if everything goes right, Oklahoma could be number 4, number 5.
Yeah. Also, I don't understand why people stress about the 3 stars. Georgia, the number 1 class, and at this point, the best college football team in the country, has 7 3 stars in their class. Could
3-star you?
Could they go up into 4 stars? Maybe, but at this moment, they have more 3 stars than Oklahoma does in the class. Yeah. They also have way more players, but.
So, I think another commit that another player we haven't really talked about, and just saw another question was I'm talking about Ivan Carreran, the wide receiver that's committed to Texas Tech. That it seems oddly bizarre in this recruitment where Texas Tech thought that they were stopping Oklahoma. They were okay with him taking a visit to Purdue, but not Oklahoma because they felt like they could beat out Purdue. And then he's planning to visit. He planned to visit to Oklahoma. I don't know. Do you guys have anything? I don't think he's a part of this class. It just seems weird.
Me neither.
I don't know.
I get why he would, because of Emmett Jones. But, I mean, I think the better question is, which one would Oklahoma prefer? Raggins or Ivan? And I think Raggins is the answer. He's brings something different to the wide receiver room that isn't currently there, or won't be there when he gets there. All right. Do you guys want to talk about anything else, or shall we wrap it up there?
I don't think I have anything else, unless if we want to take another question or two, if anyone watching has another topic. But Brandon, do you?
No, I think we're good. It was a good chat about football and sugars.
Yeah. Well, we're in the dead spot of the calendar, the sports calendar. But football, It's 4th of July this long weekend. We're almost there. Football's almost back.
Circle, Xavier Robinson was still the big news of the day. Great day to be a Sooner. We did land the 9th commit of the class. We're all excited about him.
Yeah,
should be a fun season.
Very well could have a 10th or 11th commit by the end of the week, and maybe next week you get another one in Devon Mitchell. I wouldn't be a bad run. I don't think I'd be upset with that. So.
It wouldn't suck.
I mean, Oklahoma does have 3 commits in the span of a week and a half, so not terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. So, but that's all I got. People made it this far. Be sure to like and subscribe and turn the notification bell on. And again, we're doing this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, so be sure to come back. We will be releasing a couple more videos this week, so be sure to also watch those, and we will see you guys next.